Hey everybody, welcome back to our news roundup. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. We've got a ton of stuff to talk about this week. Lots of stuff coming out from the Super Bowl, obviously. So we got a couple of trailers and some topics, some interesting topics for today. We'll be leaving maybe one or two Super Bowl trailers off for another video, just because this video is already packed. So I just want to kind of, not make this an hour-long video. So anything that I miss is going to be put in the next video. But for this video, we got enough to talk about. So let's just cut this short and just dive right on in. So of course, the first thing that we're going to discuss before we get into all the other stuff is with the ongoing legal battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. There was a official court meeting that happened on February 3rd, I believe, which was this past Monday, right? Yeah, past Monday. So their attorneys, Blake Lively's and Justin Baldoni's, they both went to court and talked a few things over regarding Baldoni's a lawyer, how he's been releasing things online and, the legality behind that. And the judge basically ordered both sides to adhere to the New York rules of professional conduct. Now, this is kind of a mood point, kind of a mood thing that he did, because this judicial rule, it does limit the attorneys from making public comments that would affect a selection of a jury, which really makes little sense to me, since they vet the jury prior to the trial to avoid any biases or connections to the case. So that's one aspect to it that doesn't make any sense to me, but that's that. However, the attorneys are still able to talk to the press to protect their clients from, quote, adverse publicity. So in essence, the court is simply stating to Baldoni's attorney to be mindful of the volume of which he shares to the press. But he didn't silence him, so he can still say what he wants. So he can still publish his website, he can still do all those things. It's just a matter of just how much you're sharing. And Blake Lively's team basically got nothing out of it. They claim to be happy from this meeting. I'm not entirely sure why, because they didn't silence that lawyer. That lawyer can still do what he wants. And I'm happy that Lively's team didn't get anything, since they were pretty adamant on silencing this lawyer and also avoiding a disposition, which I'm not sure of what came of that from the court meeting. I'm pretty sure that they're like, well, you can't. Oh, yes, I do remember, because the judge stated that to Lively's team that, you're not going to be able to pick whoever is going to do the disposition. So basically just silencing them on that. So, but yeah, so they got to adhere to this judicial rule, which, reading it out loud, honestly, just the entire thing to me just doesn't make any sense, because I get the whole volume thing, I get it, but affecting a selection of a jury, it's that doesn't make any sense at all, because you vet the jury beforehand. You don't that just makes little sense to me, but. Really, the whole thing doesn't make sense the more I sit on it. So, but it just seems like the judge was just throwing something just to present the skies of professionalism, when really it's, like I said, just kind of a big mood point. So, but as it stands, Baldoni is still able to share information. So Lively, this might be the best time to share something if you got anything. Just saying. So. But probably doesn't have anything, given just how things have been playing out. So yeah, we'll probably hear more about this in the next coming weeks. Probably some new information will be released through that website. I mean, some information I've already been looking into, like regards to more text between the two. I guess Blake Lively didn't even want to meet with an intimacy coordinator, and that's why there wasn't one. Or at least, in terms of her learning the dynamic between the two, perhaps there was conflict because she didn't even want to meet an intimacy coordinator, and and he was having to take notes from the interview coordinator and then apply it to Blake Lively on the time of the set. So you see how things can get a little wishy-washy in terms of the dynamic. So, but yeah, it's just getting ugly for her. It's been real ugly. And given the situation, it's not a bad thing. So we'll see how this plays out. Obviously, we have a court date, trial date for next year, tentatively for next year. So we'll see how this all plays out. We'll just see. All right, going from one controversy to the next, let's talk about Emilia Perez. We talked about this in a big video in regards to the legitimacies of the nominations. And, I think most of us will agree that those nominations were largely, politically motivated and looking more for aiming for diversity, which, we've also talked about in terms of the Oscar eligibility. There's this requirement for diversity, which I think very even limits, the judgment of quality of the film that you're nominating to begin with. But the nominations are out there, and the lead actor, it's not a woman, it's an actor, Carla Sofia Gascon, who was nominated for their leading work in the film. They have been met with a lot of backlash online, specifically in relation to past tweets that they made on their Twitter years ago, mind you. So just to give some context, there was a freelance journalist named Sarah Haji, I think that's how you say her last name, who did some investigation onto Carla's social media accounts, probably to just try to show a certain side of this person because they're not happy with them being nominated and stuff like that. So they did some investigation and they uncovered some old tweets from this person regarding discussions on George Floyd, Oscar diversity, Iran, the Jewish community. They apparently also used a derogatory word for the gay community a couple of times in their post. And as a result of these tweets taking center stage, the Oscar campaign for Carla Sofia Gascon, which was being funded by the distributor of the film, Netflix, it's been pretty much completely stripped away. And any new promotional posters and like the 40 Consideration campaign, they no longer feature the main actor. All contact between Netflix and Carla Sofia Gascon has been silent. Netflix is also no longer putting up any money to help fly this person out to any award shows or ceremonies. So if that person wants to go to that ceremony, it will have to come out of their own pocket. And there's been some discussions within the Academy itself, mainly negatively towards Carla Sofia Gascon due to the discovery of these old tweets. So there's also now a bias within the committee pool. So that's the whole fallout here with this person. And I mean, like we said, we all know that the nominations were politically motivated, as it reflects the narrative that Hollywood has been building within its own political party, the Democratic Party. It's producing a discussion rather than recognizing the great work that came the year before, right? It's just looking for a discussion, not a celebration. So to suggest that this person should be stripped of all privileges because of a difference in opinion, I think is a complete hypocrisy to what their nomination meant in the first place, which doesn't mean shit to me or to a lot of people, it's just whatever. But for people in Hollywood, the reason why they nominated this person to begin with and the film in such a large capacity, for them it matters. So ultimately, when that person has a different viewpoint than you, for you to then shun this person, for now there to be a bias in the Academy, for them to basically, it goes without saying that that person's not going to win now. You know, it might have been that they're like the leading face, but now it's like, no, you're not going to win now because of things that don't even reflect the performance. We're talking about things that don't even reflect the performance. We're talking about stuff that is completely separate, you know, and I understand that Emilia Perez brings out a political discussion because of what it's talking about, you know, hitting a lot of hot topic issues and stuff like that. But we're not here to talk about that stuff. We're here to talk about the performance. We're here to talk about the commitment, the work, the craftsmanship. That's the stuff that the Academy should be concerning itself with. And they voted on this. Remember, they have voted on this. This is who is nominated. So to now all of a sudden seeing a bunch of tweets that, again, should not reflect anything to do with the performance itself, to then go, yeah, no, I don't want to talk about that person anymore. And then for Netflix especially to just completely shut this person out. You know, we're not even going to, which by the way, I think that can actually lead to lawsuits, because to say that, oh, we're not going to even fly you out and do these other things, I'm pretty sure there's some legal stuff because I'm pretty sure there's clauses within their contract and with email threads that have confirmed that they're guaranteed to get these things. So that's a whole other thing. But ultimately, and sadly enough, I mean, this is a reflection of the political club that is Hollywood. If you don't ride that narrative, or are basically quote unquote on their side, then you're apparently a horrible and sick individual that must be removed and shunned from this industry. And that's essentially what has happened with this person, and it's pathetic. It's really, really pathetic. Their old tweets have nothing to do with their nomination. Also, let's just call it as it is. They're tweets. Okay? They're not charges. They're not arrests. They're not felonies. It's not any acts of violence like a certain person a few Oscars ago who decided to go and slap the host for one comment. Okay? None of that. None of that. As far as I know, this person has nothing like that. So for them to even suggest dropping them from the ceremony, because I've been seeing even discussions about that even, it's all speaks to one thing and one thing only. This is all a political game. It is. Every aspect of this is a political motivation, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And it has nothing to do with the film itself. It has nothing to do with the artistic merit that Emilia Perez may hold. All it is just getting a juicy headline. And now that headline is now quote unquote tainted by a difference in opinions. Their tweets are, in my view, fairly harmless. I mean, yes, there are some things there that I take issue with, like using a derogatory term I'm not so happy with. And maybe if I were to just view it specifically, you know, like, because look, you can have an opinion on the tweets. Yes, you can. But to sit there and say that these opinions should now dictate a nomination for something that doesn't reflect that at all. Okay, we're talking about a performance in a movie. We're not talking about them as a politician or as their political views. That's not what a nomination is supposed to reflect at all. In the Academy, I'm saying. Like, it's just so pathetic, and we know nothing's going to happen with this person afterwards. They're probably going to get thrown away because, you know, it doesn't fit their narrative, and it's just so sad. And to see also the cast themselves distancing from this person as well. There's been, you know, the other actresses in the film, Zoe Saldana, Selena Gomez, even the director themselves. They've all been pushing themselves away because of stuff that this person said online, not by what they have done, by actions, just by their tweets. It's you do what you feel is best. I mean, I just find it pitiful and just really ridiculous that you can find yourself so offended. It's silly. It's just silly. it's apparently so bad that we can't support them anymore, even though we nominated them. You get what I'm saying? If it all sounds like politics, guess what? It is. This is all political. Every aspect of this conversation is a political thing, and it's not because of what we're bringing to it, like us as like the online community. It's what the Academy chose to do. They wanted this conversation, they got it, and they're not liking the results because the person they have in the center of all this doesn't have the politics that they wanted. Welcome to Hollywood. That's Hollywood for you. If you ain't got what we want, get out of here. So, yeah. So I feel really bad for this person. I mean, I hope that they bounce back. I hope that they, I hope that they, go through, this whole award season with ease. Hopefully they're not being scrutinized. It's just unfortunate. So, and I've not seen the movie, so I can't say how their performance was, but I definitely would not, I wouldn't be like hurting. I wouldn't be like, if I nominated someone, I'm nominating them because of their work, not because of their politics. I think it's just moronic that we're even having these conversations. But that's the Academy for you. That's Hollywood. That's what they like, is stewing in their own politics. And if you're not with them, you're against them. That's how they roll. And it's really, really pathetic if you ask me. So. All right, I'm actually adding this in. I recorded this a few days ago, and this information just came out, and it's still relevant because this came out this week. So I want to talk about this because I found this interesting. So some of you might be familiar with the name Pharrell Williams. He's a well-known singer and such, and we've discussed him on this channel before previously. With a film Piece by Piece, which I was not too big on. He has drawn up some kind of contract with Universal, working with them, and his first of those endeavors was Piece by Piece. And now they tried to extend their relationship with doing another film. This film was entitled Golden. It was originally titled Atlantis. And it was directed by Michael Gondry, the guy behind Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And this film, mind you, sorry, the cat feeder just went off. This film, mind you, was supposed to come out this year, May 5th. You might be wondering why it was supposed to come out on May 5th. Well, apparently, the film has been reportedly scrapped, completely scrapped. So, and the reason for it is, well, we'll get there, but completely scrapped though. So the studio is not planning on releasing it, nor are they letting it be shopped to other buyers. After the filmmakers supposedly hit an impasse in the edit room, which, according to Google, refers to a disagreement between parties. Now, here's what we know about the film. So, as I said, it was called Golden. It was directed by Michael Gondry. It was supposed to come out on May 5th, though sources say that date was pushed internally last year. So I'm not sure what that means. I don't know if they mean that the May 5th date was not a guarantee at this point. Probably wasn't. I mean, we're here in February and we haven't seen any marketing for it, so But this had a interesting cast attached to it. We had Calvin Harris Jr., Haley Bailey, the Little Mermaid that we just had, Divine Joy Randolph, Brian Tyree Henry, Janelle Monáe, as well as a few other names here and there. Anderson Paak, whatever. And Universal was behind it. They financed it. And the reason behind the shutdown was because of a, quote, unanimous agreement from producers and Gondry that the film did not live up to its developed conceit. So we have a little bit of a discrepancy here when it comes to the understanding of the behind-the-scenes dilemma. So if you read up top on the Variety article, it says, after the filmmakers hit an impasse in the edit room. And if you look up the Google definition, which I'll bring it up right now, impasse refers to a situation in which no progress is possible, especially because of disagreement or a deadlock. So when the reason behind it is that the project was shut down after, quote, unanimous agreement from producers and Gondry that the film did not live up to its developed conceit, I think that there's more to this. I think that there's a little bit more stuff going on than just than just the parties involved not finding their vision to be well developed. I think that the studio has actually found that the vision itself is not releasable. Now, I don't think that this is a case of the Batgirl and that Coyote Acme situation. I don't find that that's the decision or the reason behind that at all. I think that this is more to do with actual direct feelings from the studio and not feelings from a test screening process. Because Batgirl was a result of a test screening process. The test screening there was poor, and the Coyote versus Acme situation, I believe, was also a test screening process. So this is not the case of an audience rejection. This is a studio rejection. This is them looking at the dailies. This is them seeing what they're seeing, and they don't like it. So I think that they're taking the fall for it. Now, the studio is also taking a big fall for it as well, because according to the same article, Universal will absorb roughly $20 million in cost already spent on production. So they're not looking for some kind of tax loss or whatever like that. They're not trying to find any way to escape from it. They're going to take that in. They're going to lose $20 million. And that's I think, again, that kind of illustrates more to the fact that I think that the studio themselves were not happy with what they had. Because if they saw potential in it, I mean, because let's be honest, if they had saw potential in it, because according to the same article, the film was in, quote, early post-production, meaning it will never be finished, but everyone involved has been paid for work completed. So here's the thing. This is not unheard of when directors bounce during post-production, right? We saw that happen with Han Solo. A lot of the Star Wars movies, weirdly enough. Han Solo, Rogue One, we saw that happen with. And what happened? They got other directors involved. They ended up doing reshoots. They ended up doing this and that. And it's because the film, the studio saw potential. They saw potential for profit, and they saw an audience that would want this film to be seen. So I think that this is because a studio has saw a product that they felt was not up to snuff. I think that's really what's going on here. I think that this is a little bit of PR damage control, just so that they're trying to keep this relationship intact between the parties involved, between what's his name? I just forgot his name. Between Pharrell Williams and Universal Pictures. So now, so far, their deal has not really been much of a success, because if you look at Piece by Piece, that was not a success in any stretch of the imagination. So they need to find something, because you're 0 compared to 2. So this being the second of those failures. So, but yeah, so don't believe that this was because the creatives, because the creatives were making their movie. They made what they made. it was more to do with what the studio saw and not wanting to do anything with it. Because again, if they wanted to, they would have ordered reshoots. They would have done this and that. They would have gotten a different director involved if they had to. They would have done what they could have to maintain this idea if they saw profit for it. But they didn't. What they did was that they said, nope, we're not going to do this because we don't see the potential in the profit. We will take the loss for it. Which really is kind of a rare thing to see, and the article points that out as well, where, you see, other studios deciding to just claim tax losses rather than just, or in the case of Mission Impossible, like a big film credit or such. I forget what it was, but it was like something that helped them recover from the losses from Fallout to justify the new film. But yeah, this is just carefully calculated to where it's not a studio calling out Pharrell Williams and saying your shit was garbage. I think it's just more like, okay, let's just call it a day, So yeah, so the studio didn't like it. And I think that's really what's going on here. I think it's just a case of just creative differences, and the studio is who they are, and they decided that we are not going to invest further because we didn't like what we saw. So we'll see what happens in the future. I don't know how long their contract lasts or the deal lasts, but we'll just have to wait and see what's in store. At least you guys do, because I don't care for this dude. I don't care for singers, generally speaking, but yeah. This is not going to happen. At least everyone got paid. That's the good thing. At least then there's a silver lining to the story. So, alrighty, we've got a couple of trailers to discuss for today, and yeah, so like I said, anything that we miss, it's going to be for next week. But let's just dive right on in. So the first trailer we're going to discuss briefly is the teaser trailer for the Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four First Steps. Of course, this is another incarnation of the Fantastic Four series. We've had a couple in the past, 2 movies with Chris Evans and other people. Then we had the 2015 version, which was not great. Now we have this one. And I believe we had one in like the 90s or so as well, something like that. This stars Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, and Ebon Moss Bachrach. Sorry, I probably butchered that last name. This being directed by Matt Sackman, who has been involved in Marvel in the past, worked on the TV series WandaVision, which I remember was okay. I remember a little of it, but I remember it was okay. This has a release date for July 25th, 2025. And, yeah, I mean, it's more or less the same formulaic approach with a different aesthetic to, in my opinion, just disguise what's essentially the same base mechanics the MCU runs on. So, I'm not really a fan of the Fantastic Four. I mean, to begin with, I don't see really the appeal outside of nostalgia, them being the first characters Stanley wrote or something like that. There's like great significance in that regard. And I know I'm not the only one feeling that way when it comes to Fantastic Four specifically, like audience wise, I just don't think that there's a lot, bite out there because of just past experiences with the Fantastic Four. So it doesn't really do much for me. I don't really care. I'd be curious more about how it's going to financially perform, because I just don't see this as a summer release. I think you should probably put this like switched out Captain America coming out right now, and have this come out on Valentine's Day instead. It seems more appropriate in that regard. But yeah, I don't really care. It doesn't really do much for me. I've never been big on the series, and having a new cast involved with a slightly different aesthetic doesn't really change my opinion on that. So we'll see. We'll see how this does. I doubt it'll be a big draw, because July is just kind of a packed month, as we'll kind of get into in this list of trailers. Because all these films, funny enough, are coming out in July, outside of just one of them actually. But yeah, not really much for me. So. All right, next trailer we're going to talk about is the official trailer for Jurassic World Rebirth. This is the fourth in the Jurassic World series. I want to say the sixth film, or no, the seventh film in the Jurassic Park series, because we had the original Jurassic Park trilogy, and then we had the Jurassic World trilogy. So now we have the Rebirth, which is, I believe, the seventh Jurassic Park film. Sorry, I keep hitting the mic. This stars Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali, and Jonathan Bailey. And this is being directed by Gareth Edwards, who's given you films such as Rogue One, the Godzilla film from 2014, and most recently The Creator, which that had so much potential, but it was okay, but it had so much potential to be really good. But this comes out July 2nd, 2025. So, like I said, we're kind of a packed month in July. I've never really been much of a fan of this series. It kind of just boggles down to spectacle. Spectacle really without much substance to supply the visuals. Like, someone kind of put it best. It's basically Fast and Furious, but now dinosaurs. And I mean, it really just seems more of the same when it comes to the Jurassic Park films. I mean, you're there for the dinosaurs, and it seems that this film kind of reflects that. Just seems more interested in dino action than really an interesting story. Because narratively speaking, it just seems like a large excuse to just get to the dinosaurs, like trying to extract DNA. It just sounds like a way to just get us to the visual stuff. I'm not entirely convinced of the cast either. I'm not convinced about Scarlett Johansson being the lead. I don't think that she works in that position. I think she frankly works better as a supporting player. I've always found her better in that type of space. I'm not saying she's never great as a lead. I mean, she was really good in Marriage Story. But her being center stage, I don't know. I'm not really entirely convinced in this specific trailer, but yeah, I mean, not much for me. I mean, I know these movies do good business, so I'm expecting this to do really well. At least I feel it still has good legs. But yeah, not really for me. It's just a case of not really for me. So yeah, that's my feelings on that. All right, next trailer we're going to talk about is Smurfs. So we have another Smurfs movie on the way. This one stars Rihanna. This has John Goodman, Nick Overman, and Kurt Russell, all providing voices as well as some live action appearances, probably, because, yeah, we'll get there. This is being directed by Chris Miller, the guy who gave us Shrek the Third, as well as Puss in Boots, the first one. And this is being released on July 18th, 2025. Now, I knew that a Smurfs movie was happening. I believe I knew Rihanna was involved with it. I gotta say, based on the trailer, this is not a case of me not being the target demographic or just not having an interest in the source material. I think that this just genuinely just doesn't look good. Like I said, it's not just the case of not being a target demographic or not having interest in the source material. It's more than that. Like, this is essentially a vehicle for Rihanna and her music. They're just dusting off an old brand that likely the studio had little interest in making to begin with, and plastering it with her name and brand all over it. I mean, that's really what it is. And on top of that, you got animation that is really poor, like really unpolished, really stiff animations. odd casting choices. Like I don't think Rihanna works in the Smurfette role, or and the other roles too. And it's just like the feeling of the trailer is that it is just feels and it looks incredibly cheap. Plus, we've already done the whole going to the real world thing before. We did that in the last Smurfs movie. Nobody liked it there, so for them to do it again, I think that it should tell you how much that the studio actually cared about wanting to do another Smurfs movie and why this exists at all, in my opinion. So I think that this exists only because of Rihanna and because of her wanting to, make, have something of a platform, a film platform for her music. So she's probably got a new album coming out, and, she's probably just trying to use a IP license to flag that up. So Smurfs is like something that no one's touching. So she's like, all right, hey, why don't we do a Smurfs movie? Studio goes, all right. And they, cobble together something because it just doesn't look like a lot of effort was put into it. It really doesn't. So yeah, so I don't think this looks good. I don't think it's not just a case of me not being, it's not for me. I just don't think it looks good, just period. So yeah, I doubt this is going to do too well. Like I said, this is kind of turning into a big month. We got Fantastic Four, we got Jurassic World, we got the Superman movie, and we have this. I think this is going to be the one that ends up making the least amount of money compared to all these. But yeah, doesn't look good if you ask me. It really doesn't. So. And finally, going from one album cover to the next, we got the trailer for Hurry Up Tomorrow. This stars The Weeknd, Jenna Ortega, and Barry Keoghan. I think that's how you say his name. I probably butchered it. Sorry. This being co-written and directed by Trey Edward Saltz. Again, probably butchered the hell out of his last name. Sorry. He directed films such as It Comes at Night, which I actually enjoy. It Comes at Night. And a film called Waves, which I've been curious to see, but never got around to seeing. This has a release date for May 16th, 2025, and kind of similar again to how I feel about Smurfs. This just feels like a vehicle for a singer. And I know blatantly this is a one for a singer because the title of the film is literally that of his new album coming out, apparently. So, yeah, I can appreciate the environment that's being played up, like this whole kind of like, acid trip type, because I get what the whole minor of it's meant to reflect, this, idea of fame, addiction, scandals, all that stuff, like I get it, and it kind of, by tone, I can dig it. I just don't like the setting of which it resides in. This like celebrity dissection, the study on celebrity. Like if you remember that TV show that he did, it was The Idol with Johnny Depp's daughter. It's essentially tracking those same ideas and vibes, and about basically himself, The Weeknd, and again just another like study on celebrity. Like we did this before with Remember Piece by Piece? Like we talked about that film where it's like it just seems like they're just utilizing their power and discussions with the studio to create something to act as a companion piece of sorts to their new albums, but not creating work that stands on their own. Because this just feels more self-aggrandizing, and I just can't really get behind it in that respect. So. It just also makes the film feel less important when I understand that there's an album that accompanies this. It's like it just makes the film feel less important. It just makes it feel like, again, something like a companion piece and not something of its own merit. So yeah, I can dig the tone, but I'd be more intrigued if it was set in a more approachable and relatable circumstance. And if it was literally a film of its own terms and not made for release of a new album coming out. But yeah, those are my thoughts for this week, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. A lot of trailers to talk about. And of course, like I said, we will talk about any other trailers that I missed that I would be interested in talking about in the next news roundup. But you guys know your thoughts on all these trailers in the comment section below. Your thoughts on the fallout that's been going on for the Emilia Perez actor, which I think is really unfortunate, and the latest updates within the whole legal battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Any thoughts and new information that you may have that I did not read up on or discuss? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.